Devotees, welcome to traditional Bhagavatam class. Yastodanandana Prajajanarandana Yastodanandana Prajajanarandana Yamunatira Yamuna Tira Santa Chari Jaya Radha Jaya Jaya Yasodhanandana Jajanara Yamuna Manachari Yamuna Manachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Ki Radhe Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Ki Radhe Prabhupada 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 Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Prabhupada Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, chapter verse 10, and this Sanskrit, I believe, is in prose, which means there's no meter, which means I'll do my best to read it. Bhagavanati Bharata Sarantahana Sukta Bhaktinati Taram Udita Guna Ganavarata Sujaya Priyavitam Adipurusha Stam Sadaya Asavaloka Iti Abhachana. Oh, maybe how much easier with this to read these verses on the meeting. Okay, synonyms. Bhagavan, Lord Brahma. Ati, Lord Bharata, O King Picture. By them, Upanita, brought forward, Arvana, worshipable paraphernalia, Supta, according to Vedic etiquette, Vakyana, by language, Atitara, highly, Udita, praised, Guna, Gana, praised, Avatara, because of the descent, through Jala, whose glories, Priyavrata, unto Priyavrata, Hari Purusha, the original person, Tam, unto him, Sadaya, with compassion, Hasa, smiling, Avaloka, who's looking, iti, thus, certainly, Uvacha, said. Okay, translation. My dear King Purukshin, because Lord Brahma had finally descended from Satyaloka to Bhuloka, Narada Muni, Prince Priyavrata, and Swayambhuva Manu came forward to offer him objects of worship and to praise him in highly qualified language according to Vedic etiquette. At that time, Lord Brahma, the original person of this universe, felt compassion for Priyavrata and, looking upon him with a smiling face, spoke to him as follows. Report. The Lord Brahma descended from Satyaloka to see Priyavrata indicates that the matter is very serious. Narada Muni had come to advise Priyavrata about the value of spiritual life, knowledge, renunciation, and bhakti. And Lord Brahma knew that Narada's instructions were very impressive. Therefore, unless Lord Brahma personally went to Kandamad hill to request Priyavrata, Lord Brahma knew that Prince Priyavrata would not accept his father's order. Brahma's purpose was to break Priyavrata's determination. Okay, so I read this. I'll take a quick. I'll just comment real quick on this because I just read this like little section about 4 or 5 times, and I couldn't understand it. Just the wording, I couldn't understand what was being conveyed because it seems like Prabhupada saying that okay, Narada Muni came to advise Priyavrata, and Priyavrata didn't kind of listen to his instructions, which I thought was indicating that Priyavrata didn't heed to the instructions to, leave his renunciation and go rule the kingdom. But now I'm seeing that what's being said is that because Narada Muni came to instruct Priyavrata as a spiritual master, and because his instructions were so good about transcendence, spiritual life, renunciation, bhakti, because his instructions were so good, that's when Priyavrata was like averse to kind of taking up this position of becoming a king. So yeah, I just now kind of clicked what that was saying. Okay. So continue. Brahma's purpose was to break Priyavrata's determination. Therefore, Brahma first looked upon Priyavrata with compassion.
Oh, there's no sound.
Okay. So continuing, Brahma's purpose was to break Priyavrata's determination. Therefore, Brahma first looked upon Priyavrata with compassion. His smile and compassionate features also indicated that although Brahma would request Priyavrata to accept household life, Priyavrata would not be out of touch with devotional service. By the blessings of a Vaishnava, everything is possible. This is described in Bhagavad Sindhu and Srila Siddhi, or perfection attained simply by the blessings of a superior person. One usually becomes liberated and perfect by executing the regulating principles set down in the Shastras. Nonetheless, many persons have achieved perfection simply by the blessings of a spiritual master or superior. Priyavrata was the grandson of Lord Brahma, and as joking competition sometimes takes place between grandson and grandfather, in this case also Priyavrata was determined to remain in meditation, whereas Brahma was determined that he ruled the universe. Thus, Lord Brahma's affectionate smile and glance meant, my dear Priyavrata, you have decided not to accept household life, but I have decided to convince you that you must accept it. And actually, Brahma had come to praise Priyavrata for his high standard of renunciation, penance, and devotion, so that he would not be deviated from devotional service, even though he would accept household life. So I didn't remember that. Actually, Brahma had come to praise Priyavrata for his high standard of renunciation, austerity, penance, and devotion, so that he would not be deviated from devotional service, even though he had household life. In this verse, one important word is Sukta Vakana by Vedic kings. In the Veda, there's the following prayer to Lord Brahma. Hiranyakava samavartatagre uttasya jata patipekta asid. Brahma was received with the proper Vedic. Brahma was received with the appropriate Vedic hymns, and because he was welcomed according to Vedic etiquette, he was very pleased. Komadyanatimirandasya jnananjana salataya Chakshuvarmilita mena prasma shri kuve namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapita mena bhutale Bhakti-ramaya Bhakti-swasadantika Vandeham Sri Guru Shita Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sadhu Jatam Sadhana Raghunatam Vitantam Sajivam Sadhutam Sadhutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamsha Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanra Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Govinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Oh, okay. Krishna Krishna. Okay, is the sound better now? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Yes,
Hare Hare.
much
Hare
improved.
Ram,
Thank you.
Hare. Yeah. So it should be better now. Put on this little lapel thing. All right. So again, welcome devotees. So nice to see so many devotees here for today's Bhagavatam class. And of course, we just got into this fifth canto, which is very exciting. And yes, so today's verse, so it appears that Lord Brahma is
coming down. Of course, so a little context in case someone doesn't know the context of this. Priyavrata was a great sage, a great yogi, and he was approached um, by his father, Swayambhuva Manu, and Narada Muni, I guess was his guru. And so he was approached and asked, well, can you please, leave your renounced life and take to being the ruler of the kingdom? And yeah, pretty much he was averse to the idea because he didn't want to become entangled. And then, so now his grandfather is coming, who is none other than Lord Brahma. And so that's what we kind of hear in this verse, because Lord Brahma will also be trying to convince him that, yeah, he should take up the kind of so it's very nice instead of points here just about kind of the general etiquette. So you see that when Lord Brahma came, all three of the personalities there, Priyavrata, Narada Muni, and Swayambhuva Manu, they all approached him, offered suitable prayers, very, very much welcomed him like this. And then, as we see, the end of the purport here, it's Prabhupada saying that he was received with appropriate Vedic hymns, and because of this, he was very pleased. So, of course, we have a personal philosophy, so we acknowledge that everyone is a person, everyone's a sentient person, and because of that, there's lots of people are really sensitive, and and because of this, when one is kind of desirous of seeking guidance from someone, then it's the proper etiquette to kind of praise the person and pretty much let the person know that I value your wisdom. I'm grateful for your wisdom. Thank you for taking this opportunity to kind of enlighten me. And I believe yesterday Prabhu recently talked about this mood of being very much appreciative of those who have helped us in our spiritual path, which is a great point to always be reminded of, to be very grateful to those who have helped us. So we see because of that, because of Brahma's kind of reception, and he was so willing to kind of give his mercy. So I was just telling Vinay Madhurya how, because we're going to this newly formed temple, where in the next few weeks we'll be going there. It's a Bergen County temple, and in New Jersey. And I remember when I went there with His Holiness Dave Mrita Maharaj, the reception they gave him was just amazing. I mean, just everyone had their little, flower baskets. We roll up to the building. Everyone is just showering him with flowers, and there's like just this ecstatic kirtan going on, and it was just, it was so heartwarming. It was just such an auspicious environment to see, and I could tell Maharaj was very, very pleased, and then when you get such a reception, then you can't help but give your mercy, give your heart like that. So in spiritual matters, it's very it's very important to have this kind of mood of appreciation, respect, and as we learn in this verse also that a big part of a big part of spiritual life is kind of the mercy of more advanced devotees. So I'll talk about that a little later. And but well, I guess I can just get right into it. Because as they say, right, the mercy flows down. So mercy flows down means that just how like if you have water, if water's in a higher place, generally it goes down to a lower place, not that the water flows up. So in the same way, we're kind of dependent on the mercy of those who are more experienced in their bhakti path. And practically we can look back and we can see how, actually anything I have in devotional service, it's all actually due to those merciful devotees who are willing to help me out, who are willing to kind of go through the austerity of tolerating me, go through the austerity of the discomfort that comes with having to correct someone. Of course, I fortunately I had some very bold brahmachari leaders, so correcting was not a very big problem for them. But we can see actually everything, our whole spiritual life, everything all the advancement we've made, all the knowledge we have, it's all dependent on the mercy of devotees. And the mercy will continue to come when one has the kind of humble disposition. Because like I said, we're all persons, so if one kind of has this mentality of I know everything, I heard that, I heard this, okay, I've heard it's even etiquette that generally juniors aren't supposed to share their realizations with more senior devotees. Generally junior devotees should hear from the senior devotees, and of course, sometimes they can share their realizations, because that's also good, because one can then the senior devotees might say, okay, Prabhu, well, I think you might be a little off here. But generally, we're dependent on the senior devotees sharing their realizations with us. And I like one devotee, he said that this is like, how do you say, that this is like a kind of bonus in our spiritual life. It's like kind of like a cheat to go forward many steps, because here this devotee has gone through all these austerities and study and serious practice, and then he has a realization, and then that devotee just shares just shares that gem of realization with you. So even though you might not have gone through the same austerities to attain that realization yourself, by the mercy of that devotee, then he shares with you, and then this can kind of like be meditating on this realization from the senior devotee. And I was amazed. I was always so amazed, actually, that His Holiness Dhanavir Maharaj in Kansas City, he goes to every Bhagavatam, at least he was until recently. And of course, his health might not allow anymore. But he would go to morning and evening class every day without fail, right? And he was so eager to hear. Even when he was in the Denver temple, and they would have like a bhakta giving a new devotee giving the evening Bhagavad Gita class, and there would be usually probably no one in the temple, but there would be one other person because Maharaj would be there. So just listening to like the devotee who just maybe read the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita and now they have him giving class just so he can kind of get some experience. And there's Maharaj in the class listening. And Maharaj was like one of the most kind of renowned scholars in our movement. I think he's written like the first or he's in the top runnings for the amount of books written by devotees, ISKCON devotees. And there he is in Bhagavatam. There he is in Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita class. Like, and what he said is, he said, you never know when you're going to hear something that's going to kind of change your life, and you don't know who it's going to come from. So, like that. So this mood of kind of like appreciation for those devotees willing to share their realization is very important. So also we see here that we hear about the mercy of we hear about this concept of Kripa Siddhi. So Kripa Siddhi, if you break down the words, means perfection attained by mercy. So like I was saying, our spiritual life is so much dependent on the mercy of the devotees, especially of those who are more senior and experienced. And so many verses in the Bhagavatam indicate this, that this is what we're searching for, is this mercy of the senior devotees. And in the Bhagavatam, we hear the story of how Narada Muni, because Maharaj Pariksha is asking about, Vyasadeva is asking Narada Muni. He's saying, "Well, Narada Muni, what about you? Let me hear a little about you. How did you come to Krishna consciousness?" So this is how I came to Krishna consciousness, featuring Narada Muni. So Narada tells him, well, in my past life, I took birth as a son of a maidservant, and me and my mother was a very kind of pious person. She would take care of the sages during the Chaturmas period, the rainy time in India. So all the sages would come, and my mother would, serve them. And so, naturally, as her son, I would also kind of serve them. And it's explained that Narada Muni, he wasn't interested in just playing like the other kids, kind of like how we hear about Prahlad Maharaj. Narada Muni, he was just very, he was not so interested in playing, and he was very respectful. And pretty much he was a nice, let me just see exactly how he was described. Okay, so Narada Muni is saying, I was very much attached to those sages. I was gentle in behavior, and all my sins were eradicated in their service. In my heart, I had strong faith in them. I subjugated the senses, and I was strictly following them with body and mind. So, so there's some nice indications, and Prabhupada says in the purport that these are necessary qualifications of a prospective candidate who can expect to be elevated to the position of a pure devotee. Such a candidate must always seek the association of pure devotees. He himself should be plain and gentle, to receive the instructions of such a pure devotee. Yeah. So we can see, yeah, he was very gentle and very importantly also is that he had in his heart he had strong faith for them. Okay, and then as the story continues, he would take the remnants of their food, of course he would ask their permission. Prabhupada says in the purport that it's even okay. You don't actually have to ask the permission of the devotees to take their remnants. And in this way, yeah, he got their mercy, and he was able to hear of them because that they would just talk about Krishna Katha. And then, of course, unfortunately, Narada Muni's mother, she was out in the forest and she got bit by a snake, ended up passing away. And then Narada Muni's like, well, of course, I don't know actually what his name was at this point, but he says, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna kind of head out and seek self-realization. And yeah, as we know, he was walking through different places, then he sat down to meditate, and he actually got darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his head, in his mind. And yeah, so pretty much all this was by the mercy of these great devotees who were willing to impart their blessings on him. So the Srimad Bhagavatam tells us, what does it tell us? Let me see if I can remember this verse. Tamo dwaram yosita sangi sangam, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Yeah, I can't think, but the translation of the verse is that by serving great transcendentalists, the doors to liberation become open. Whereas by serving those who are attached to women, or who associate with those who are too attached to women, then the gates to hell are open. And then it explains the qualification of those devotees. Those devotees should be very equipoised, and some other descriptions also. But sorry, I can't remember. So I'm sure someone will put this verse up shortly. Yeah, and also Bhagavatam Shushusho Shadadanya says how by the mercy of the great devotees, then one gets a taste for the Katha Ruchi. One gets a taste for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. Okay, so I hope I've made the point clear that that this is very important. And of course, as one devotee told me when I was asking him, I said, "Oh, Prabhu, like sometimes we get so many instructions, or sometimes our guru might give us an instruction, but then we're in a place where there's other senior devotees, and how to deal with all, how to try to serve them all. We hear we should serve the devotees, but how do we serve all the devotees, make them all pleased?" And he said, well, who's the greatest devotee is your spiritual master. So the greatest, yeah. So that's kind of our mandate, is that in this life you've chosen a certain spiritual master, and therefore your full your heart and your heart and soul should be dedicated to this service. So it's amazing. I mean, purport after purport after purport after purport after purport, to the millionth degree, Prabhupada is making this point that by service to the spiritual master, this is how one can attain perfection. Of course, he gives his own example many times, saying, I actually myself, I had no qualifications, but I had one qualification. So I simply tried to follow the order of my spiritual master. And so, yeah, this is why, like, I heard this term recently, that Krishna consciousness is so simple that you just might miss it. So we don't want to get, we don't want to overcomplicate things and get caught up in this and that, and we can kind of miss the whole point. Because simply put, the life and the whole mission of the disciple, of the bhakta, of those who have been given this reverential title of Das, is to please Krishna by pleasing Krishna's representative. So yeah, it's a simple process, but of course it can be very hard at the same time. And the thing is that if one, without a spiritual master, then one can think, okay, I'm serving Krishna, I'm doing this, and I'm going to the temple, I'm chanting rounds like this, and it can seem like, okay, one is kind of performing all the angas of bhakti very nicely. But when one is confronted with the instructions of a spiritual master, then one is really challenged, like, okay, well, how much do I really want to do this whole service thing? And because that's what we're striving for, right? Jivera Swarupahoy Nitya Krishna Das. Our position is actually eternal servants of Krishna. So our position is to be eternal servant. And how do we kind of exhibit this is by service to the order of the spiritual master. Because if the spiritual master is not there, if one isn't so chaste to the spiritual master, then okay, I do this service because I like it, I do that, I take guidance from this person, I go here, I go there, you can do anything like that. But when one is, like I said, when one is confronted with the order of the spiritual master, then that's kind of, when the pedal hits the metal, and when one can really see, like, okay, how much do I actually want to engage in this servitude? How much do I want to subject myself? How much do I actually want to be the servant of the servant of the servant? So it's tough, but it's all, but in it, like this verse says, yasya deva para bhakti yathat deva tata guru tasya te katita hyata prakashante mahatmanaha. That one who has implicit faith in the spiritual master and in the shastras, to that person, all the import of the shastras are revealed. To one who has implicit faith in both Krishna and the spiritual master, to that person, all the imports of the Vedas are automatically revealed. So within this kind of, within this submission and surrender to the spiritual master, then actually everything becomes revealed. It's a very mystical thing. Like all the pieces kind of start coming into place. I'm not this body. I'm supposed to control my senses. Why? Because how can I kind of engage in sense gratification and be a loyal servant at the same time? It doesn't work out. Okay, freedom from fear. Because if one is connected to the orders of the spiritual master, then one becomes fearless. then like say like Prabhupada sent Brahmananda, right, to Pakistan or something. And what a fearful situation, you know. And Brahmananda, yeah, this devotee, American devotee, sent to Pakistan, probably in a time where it was very turbulent there. I don't know exactly what the history, what was going on, but I've heard that, yeah, he was spit on, and someone even like spit on their hand and wiped off his tilak, and such a crazy situation, you know. Who in their right mind would do this? But if one has this mentality that, okay, well, yeah, I'm actually eternal like this. You know, all the Shastras say that perfection is achieved by following the orders of the spiritual master. Then one actually can become fearless, because it's like, okay, well, I'm doing exactly what I should be doing. So if something happens to me, then what to do? All right, I just, Krishna, I tried. Krishna, I gave it my all. You know, I'm following your process. So now, yeah, now if something happens to me, then all right, what to do? I'm depending on you to kind of, I guess, give me a better situation. So yeah, one can actually become fearless like this. And yeah, so it's a very, yeah, we're very fortunate to have this dynamic, this kind of facet of this spiritual technology, which is part of our, which is, yeah, part of our process, is that by engaging in the order of the spiritual master, then one can attain all perfection. And I'm just yeah, so inspired when I see devotees who have this amazing conviction, you know, amazing faith in their spiritual master. Like I remember seeing this devotee before our Guru's Vyas Puja, and she was just, I think she was up, I don't know how long it took her to make this garland, but this garland was huge, you know. I mean, it was just like one of these garlands that you see that like that just look like something you see at the, you know, Hollywood Rose Parade. And I just remember seeing this garland and think, you know, and knowing like how long she'd been up making the garland, and knowing, you know, how much longer she was going to be out. I think she had to make the cake or something. I was just so inspired, and I was like very, very humbled by it, of course, and thinking, wow, I really need to step up my game. But yeah, it's very inspiring to see the devotees like who have this firm faith in their spiritual master. Or there's this famous Sadhu Sangha festival, and we all know like this big Kirtan festival happens once a year. You know, all the big time Kirtaniyas from around the world come, and it's such a nice festival that when they open up the registration, you literally have minutes. You literally have minutes to kind of register, or else, you know, you just have to whatever come. Hope you have better luck the next year. And at the yeah, and we had the opportunity to go to this festival a few times as volunteers, so we were kind of behind the scenes. And there's the devotee who organizes it all. She's a disciple of His Holiness Indra Maharaj, and you could just see she was so dedicated to putting on this festival for her spiritual master. I mean, it was just seeing her kind of attention to detail, and just all the austerity she was going through, but you could see like, wow, this is someone who just wants one thing, and that's to please her spiritual master. So like this, yeah, it's very it's very inspiring to associate with such devotees who kind of remind you what it's all about, and you actually see how happy they are. You see, wow, they are really like, yeah, they're really exhibiting all these qualities, really exhibiting all these divine qualities that are mentioned in the Shastra. And as we hear so much, how can the rest of us become like that if we don't have that? Well, yeah, get their association, spend time with them, serve them, just be in their presence. Like it said, I heard it said, even if one doesn't know how to associate with devotees, if one doesn't know the proper etiquette, then at least just go be in their presence. Just go be like a, bump on the log in their presence. And yeah, this is the secret to success, is the pleasing of the blessings of a superior person. So I like this. Kalsuru Prabhu gave this account of how he asked his guru, how to become a pure devotee, and his guru told him, perfectly follow someone who's perfectly following. So yeah, that's it. It's simple for the simple. So, and like, yeah, we might have. I mean, it's kind of a very mystical thing in that. It's a very sublime aspect of our philosophy, because we might think, well, okay, how is it that pleasing this person will actually like be the complete key to my success, right? So it's actually it's a very mystical thing, because there's no kind of, in a sense, there's no mundane way to explain it, how this kind of divine connection is there. Oh, okay, I please this person, this, an advanced devotee, yeah. But by pleasing them, then automatically then Krishna is pleased. So yeah, it's a very interesting point. And if no one has any questions or comments, yeah, maybe that could be last 10 or so minutes here. That could be a point of, yeah, maybe someone can just share their realization on this point, because it seems like a very sublime thing, and sometimes it's hard to kind of grasp how, okay, by pleasing this person, then Krishna will be pleased. I mean, it takes some faith. It definitely takes some faith. So if anyone has any realizations or quotations on that to kind of like solidify this understanding, then I welcome you to share that. Two participants raised hand. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for your class. Made a lot of wonderful points today.
I see your hand raised. Oh, this is better.
Covered a lot of territory. It was nice to hear.
Please bestow your wisdom on us.
Srila Prabhupada gave a simple example to illustrate the last point that you made.
If you're speaking now, I cannot hear. I don't know if it's just me. But yeah, I don't see your mic. I don't see your little mic icon jumping up and down. He's speaking, okay.
Are you hearing me now? Hare Krishna.
Okay, I can hear. Okay,
all right. Srila Prabhupada gave a simple example to illustrate the last point that you made. He explained that it's not easy to please Krishna, because he's very great. He has everything. Impressive to him. And so he compared this to trying to gain the favor of a very great mundane personality. So if perhaps you were trying to approach a big politician, the president, or a very wealthy person, not an easy thing to do, but if you offer, Srila Prabhupada says, a 2 pice lozenge, so a little piece of candy to the child of that person, immediately that they will be very pleased with you, because you've pleased that person that is most dear to them. So Srila Prabhupada explains it's just like that if you can somehow, by some simple act, you can please that individual that has endeared themselves to Krishna, then very easily Krishna becomes pleased with you. So that's the principle. It's a simple thing, but and that's really our approach. Trying to approach Krishna directly is not possible, but by service to Krishna's devotees, we can easily please Krishna and gain his favor. So that's my contribution there. I think Rayfori has something for us. Hare Krishna.
I thank you so much, Ruth. Yeah, that's very that's a very practical way to kind of conceptualize it. So okay, I saw Parmeshwari's hand. I think.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for such a nice class. Reminding me of the instruction of the spiritual master and serving the spiritual master, the ultimate goal of life. I want to share one realization with our Guru Maharaj in particular, because when you make the example about making garlands, so when Devamrita Mara came to Gitanagari the first time after COVID, I also spent like I think 4 or 5 hours making his garlands, and I was really happy about it, because I'm like, oh, this is the first time I ever see Guru Mara in person as well. So I'm like, oh, I get to do this service for him, and then I actually got chastised by spending that many hours making garlands for him. I think also there's the aspect that perhaps that many hours that I was making garlands for him, I can do a lot more practical service to serve the devotees on the farm, because there's so much more service going on at Gitanagari. So I'm talking more like place specific, not maybe if a devotee like really have the capacity to spend like hours and hours to make a garlands for their Guru Maharaj, I think that's still glorious. But from my personal experience, it's not always the case. Not necessarily that I may spend hours doing some personal service to him and then he would be pleased. And then when I asked him, when he was at Gitanagari that time, that is there any personal service that I can do for you, Gurudev? And so he told me that I take everything that you do here at Gitanagari very personally. So in a way, he's saying that it's not like you trying to do like personal service to me, as in iron his clothes or making cooking for him, that he take it personally, but the service that and he also told me that the service that you do here at Gitanagari, it may be very small to you, but it's very big to me. So yeah, I should thought that I would like to share that in terms of practical application. Yeah, about like serving the guru and pleasing the guru. And I think it means different things for the guru as well. A different guru may have different ways, but that's my experience with our Guru Maharaj, Devamrita Maharaj.
Wonderful. Yeah, he also told me that. He said, yeah, I mean, there's so many times he's been like, I'm just so happy you're here. I'm so happy you're here. I consider this as personal service to me. So yeah, he's obviously I was very invested in this project and just so grateful to those who come and serve here. Okay, Kaylee, Kaylee, yeah, if you still have something you want to say, you can do so. Oh, did Kaylee leave?
Oh, Hare Krishna, sorry. Yeah, do we have time? Is it okay?
Yeah, I think so. Let's try. Let's try.
Okay. Okay. So I'm just curious, because Taraka Prabhu mentioned that I cannot remember the exact words that he said, but something that we cannot necessarily associate with Krishna. And so I'm curious about this, because this is also the role of the spiritual master, right? Like their whole purpose is to connect us with Krishna, with Bhagavan, Paramatma, Brahman, or any one of these or all of these. And so I guess my question is like, can we associate with Krishna? Like I just remember this one, he was a disciple of Radhanath Swami, and he loves Radhanath Swami, and we went to go to one of his initiations, and he was so excited to introduce us to Radhanath Swami because he had so much love for him. So my feeling is like, oh wow, a guru has so much love for Krishna. They just want to introduce us so much. And so is that like, can we really believe that if we are, following our guru, that they're showing us like either Paramatma or Bhagavan in the books, or Brahman, whatever, the spiritual sky? Like, can we really like believe that? Or is that true? Or is that not necessarily? Is that just like a misunderstanding on my end?
Tarka Prabhu is saying we can directly associate with Krishna by hearing and chanting his holy names.
Okay,
So
so yes.
So you're asking. Sorry, is that satisfying to you?
Yeah, that is. And then I actually have one other question. Because this is just what I've heard around, being around Krishna houses also, and you mentioned today, this morning too, about personalism and kind of seeing everybody as a person. And I've noticed devotees referring to personalism as like having relationships with devotees. And I understand that's an aspect, but I've also heard it, if somebody is spending more time in their room or something, or maybe they're not as social, someone will like kind of almost accuse them of being impersonal, like, oh, why you don't want to have relationship with devotees. But one, devotees are very difficult to understand. I feel like we cannot understand what's going on in a devotee's mind. And so I'm also just wondering, my understanding of personalism was referring that God is a person, not necessarily having to have all of these personal relationships, or like referring to ourselves. So maybe if you could just like clarify a little bit more what exactly personalism is. Like, is it referring to God as a person, or is it referring to our relationships with devotees, or just like clear that up a little bit, if you don't mind?
Well, so I think they're about to blow the conch shell, and there are many devotees here who are very personal and very experienced on this, but my slight realization is that I mean, yeah, if we're just if we're impersonal with everyone else, then how are we supposed to be personal with Krishna? So if we don't at least practice with each other, like, okay, this is a person, they have feelings. How would I like it if I was treated the way I'm treating them. You know, this person has a whole life, a whole background, so many experiences that lead them to do certain things. Maybe I should be a little more understanding. You know, if we don't practice this, and then this kind of conception with each other, then it's not that, you know, when we go to the deities, it would be so easy. So we can kind of like, we can practice with each other as a way of um, acknowledging that the ultimate person, the supreme person, is also a person.
Yes. So on this a little bit, and apologies if I'm coming off like challenging. I think that I'm just genuinely curious. And because about I just noticed, I know that I've been reading lately that japa is actually more of like an internal thing, that we do it kind of really alone and like not necessarily in front of other people. So it feels like this relationship with Krishna is very much on a personal, like more intimate level. And so, some people that are quiet, they might not talk to so many people, but when you actually make the effort to talk to them, they are so deep and like very caring and very understanding. So I feel like, I don't know, and even reading about Gorky Shore, I mean, he would hide himself. I was reading about him yesterday. He would hide himself in a bathroom stall because he knew that no one would try to come to him there. He only opened the door when someone said that they were disciples of Saraswati Thakur Maharaj. And obviously his reasoning was a little bit different because everyone was coming to him asking him for all these boons, etc. But I feel like maybe some people just are not necessarily as outgoing, and we should not. I'm not saying anybody here at all does this. Everybody here is very open, but I have run into some devotees who will kind of like criticize if someone is maybe a little bit more internal and doesn't necessarily like is not so outgoing. And so I feel like, I don't know, that's just kind of a thought, but I don't think anyone around here has been like that. I have.
I like what my Guru Maharaj said about this. He said, of course, we all have different personality types, but he said, yeah, he was talking about association with devotees. He said, yeah, he said, I heard an interesting definition of association with devotees recently. And that's that, yeah, you know, I stay in my house, stay in my room, and I do my own thing. And, you know, once in a while, you know, when I'm really feeling up to it, then I'll come outside and associate with the devotees. So of course, he was saying that in a joking matter because the association of devotees is what's gonna purify us. It's what's gonna. I mean, if you're just in your own world, then you can think yourself as some grand person. You know, you can think, you know, well, whatever. But when you're with devotees, then you really see like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I'm not all I think I am. So so I like what in other words, he was saying, you know, we have to kind of embrace this association, put ourselves out there. Yeah. So
Yes,
I hope
thank you. This is a really, really good point. I definitely agree with this. I guess more so I'm referring to like sometimes some people are more internal, need to like recharge in order to go out. So if we have the intention that, okay, I'm going to be by myself today because I really need to develop more of a relationship with Krishna so I can have better relationship with devotees. If we're like going by ourselves to get away from association or these kinds of things, that's when I feel like we are actually supposed to go associate, like I remember it's just for at least this is something that I have realized is that if I start thinking more about myself or I get sad or something, it's usually because I'm not associating as much or doing service. I'm thinking about myself. So going out doing service, then we interact with devotees and it's really sweet. So yes, thank you for making that point. I think everything is consciousness behind it.
Jai, thank you so much, Kaylee,
Yeah.
and all the other devotees. So okay, the conch just blew.
Okay. Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Shri Shri Radha ki Jai. Yes. Hare Krishna. Huh? Over. Hare Krishna. Yep. Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Shila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Jaya. Jaya Prabhupada, peace, God, God, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Chiprasade Purisam Yoda Deproka God Charita Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi, Gaura Brinda, Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nitya. Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Rama, Gauri Shri Krishna Jai Goya Kara Bhava Maduna Kedayalo Jan Madina Kedayalo Jan Sarasi Pita Pava Tava Ah, Sarkar, Sarkar, Indra, Jayati, Yadda, Chuna, Chunadda, Rasnagar, Jayata, Dance, Parliament, Rajas, Nansma, Chile, Smartman, Sankar, Jat, Jan, Parliament, Ah, we were sleeping with them now. She had last time. The lotus of our spiritual master, the only way to experience pure devotion service. That I have would be great on reverence. But it's mercy and constitution which is suffering and pain and mercy of Christian. None of us is how my conscience is purified and world dominion so it's not. Catholic for the feast perfection fills all desire. Heal from my dark eyes and fill my heart transcendent knowledge. He is my Lord and great comforter. From him I can make by him remains destroyed. The village should sing him scarcely. Our spiritual master, ocean of mercy, friend of the poor, and Lord and master of the ways. O master, please be merciful to us, spirits of shame, and those see your first to all of the world, and shelter from them. Goodbye.